All right, let's pick it right back up with Scott from the Believers Underground on the Bob Tuskin Show.
Yeah, let's jump. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's jump right back into it, man.
Yeah.
With what you're dealing with is you're not dealing with ice glaciers anymore. You're dealing with water glaciers. It's kind of a reversal of an ice age. You've entered into a water age.
It's post-glacial rebound, right?
Post-glacial rebound effect. I call it the effect because 14,000 years ago, all that ice showed up, and it depressed all those continents up there. They sank. And when that weight comes off them, they rebound back up. They come back up out of the water. And then that weight goes into the ocean. And when you're talking gigatons, we're talking, wow, a big weight. You can't look at that water. You look at it as weight. And when it goes into geofragile zones in the ocean, fault zones, and it sinks the ocean floor, just like off the coast of Japan days before. It is confirmed by the buoys and their own scientists and everything else. Japan's coastline was sinking days before the earthquake, and it triggered it. And now it's sunk, almost 24 feet now. It's still sinking. And at high tide, that water goes right on into Japan and floods cities. So now you got weight encroaching on that coastline on a daily basis, twice a day. And it's just going to keep tugging on it and tugging on it and tugging on it. And I would move everyone off Japan right now. I mean, you already got 40 to 50 hot particles, okay, that these people are breathing in a day. The air filters are radioactive, in their cars. They have found hot particles over here on the West Coast, up in the Seattle area. People are breathing in 5 hot particles a day. And their air filters are going to be radioactive too. So use a mask and gloves when you're removing your air filters. Add potassium iodine. Or I guess sea kelp will work too, to shut your thyroid down.
Yeah, but it only protects the thyroid. That's one of the problems with that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I mean, by all means.
Yeah, it's like the show last week, when I commented on that gal over there in France that had thyroid cancer, and she has a 3-year-old child, and, she's going to die.
Wow.
And you stated that's a real, common thing. And yeah, because nuclear fallout causes thyroid cancer. And they had over 2,053 nuclear bomb tests that they blew up. I got nuclear fallout maps for the United States just on
thyroid disease is one of the most prevalent problems in our lifetime, and it continues to be attacked, in all sorts of different ways, whether it's metals in our water, fluoride, you name it. It continues to be attacked. Scott, sorry to lose my train of thought here, but I noticed we had some callers on the line that I've been neglecting. Should we take a few phone calls real quick?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's go to area code 530. You're on the Bob Tuskin Show. What is your name? Where are you calling from, please?
I'm Rebecca from Shasta Lake, California.
Rebecca, thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
I wanted to tell you guys how much I love your show and how much I appreciate the information that's getting out. And I also had a question about, Scott said he'd been up to the dams. I want to know about Shasta Lake Dam, Shasta Dam here. It's really, really full this year. I've never seen it this full. And I've lived here forever.
Oh, that's got to be pretty scary. Scott, do you know anything about it?
But the kids are digging it. They're jumping all over the place.
Yeah, I bet.
Anything unusual?
It's great to be a child, I know. Well, all these, you have all this ice pack, and it's melting quick, super fast. And, I noticed this up there in Central California. They've already opened up all their dams, and they're running water out as fast as they can, because I've also noticed the sun is like super hot too. I mean, it just burns your skin. Well, now that we have a huge breach in the magnetic field, because we're in orbital to wobble, no wonder. But, these dams are all at risk. It doesn't matter if you're in California or, you look at Caltrans reports on the bridge systems over here in California. Man, they're a joke. I mean, you probably got about 60% of the bridges that are in severe need of repair. I mean, the infrastructure, it's they're just waiting for a natural catastrophe to take them out. But you know, all these dams are, you know, they're sinking. You know, I have some pictures of some dams up there up there by Yellowstone, where you can actually see cracking all the way around the dam on the lake, where the ground is actually, when the lake behind the ground, the dam starts to sink, all those campgrounds and stuff around it, you'll actually see the ground start to crack and pull away towards the lake, you know, and that tells you that it's starting to sink. I've seen that same anomaly over here when I went with Fred. He's one of the heads of Parks and Recreation down here, and we went through the dam systems around here, including Pyramid Lake, where they had a landslide. And this is what happens. You know, when the lake sinks, it chops the footing on the hillside, so you get landslide events as well. And that landslide will go in and actually fill the depression that was there.
Huh.
And so you look at the lake and it looks like it's still even, yet you can see the hillside just dumped about, I don't know, 100 tons of dirt into it, and you know, you'd think it'd be up a couple feet, but it's not. You know,
So that's what's happening in your dam, I guess, Rebecca.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you know, don't trip on it. You know, they're really staying on top of the California dams right now. I've seen a lot of money go. It's called Measure Art, and they're going into the rural areas hardcore because they know the central cities are at more of a risk of quake activity. It's like the floodplains. You knew you were living on a fault zone, you know. So, you know, and we're going to have quakes, you know. In those rural areas, they need to have them set up to handle the traffic. So they're really protecting the water supplies off away from the major cities. So if that helps you, okay, and I hope it does. But boy, you're going to have an influx of people once you do have.
Exactly. Rebecca, thanks so much for the call.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye. All right, there she goes. We'll continue to take calls in just a moment, Scott, at 866-841-1065. Get out your crayon, write that number down. Toll free. So if you have Skype, you can call from Skype or wherever you like. Join us. 866-841-1065. That's the number to do so. All right, Scott, when we pick it up, we'll continue to talk about, well, the normal stuff, I guess. It's kind of the same old, but we continue to see all sorts of earthquakes, which you continue to predict. So I'll ask you what you see in the future and what kind of things that we should look out for and where we should not be and where we should be, and we'll take your calls. Again, call up Scott. He's a wealth of information. If you want to talk about earth changes, he's our go-to guy. Scott from Believers Underground. His YouTube, of course, always there, and he can link up to his. The YouTube will link you up to his radio show, and you're doing a radio show 5 days a week now, huh, Scott?
Yeah, on Liberty Broadcasting Network in the mornings, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday. And just feel free to come over and ask away, ask your questions, so I can answer you. And it's a lot easier. I wasn't going to take another show, but, it's easier to answer.
You've got a lot to say, and that's why we give you this as a platform on the Bob Tuskin Show. Stand by. We'll finish things off with Scott and continue to take your calls. All right, folks, we have Scott with us from the Believers Underground. And Scott, where should we pick it up?
Well, let's pick it up at the nuclear power plants and the flooding, because we have to look at the next step, okay? either, what I suggested was just get in there with powdered concrete, truck after truck after truck, and just surround those nuclear power plants hand over fist with powdered concrete. I mean, they have the reports. They know how much water's going in the ocean. They know how much rain's going where. They are even coming out now. This even came out on this old house. The 10 cities that are most apt to be destroyed. And you know what was number 1 on that list?
Let me guess. Chicago, New York.
New York City.
Jeez, what a surprise.
And Tennessee was second. And Tennessee's got 2 nuclear power plants downwind of those other 2 plants. And then you got 2 more plants down in Louisiana. So you got multiple plants, nuclear plants down this floodplain. I mean, wowee, man, they're setting up for nightmare scenarios. I'm looking at them. If I was the president, I would be looking into. I'd be using everything. I'd be using INSAR, MODIS, Terra, GRACE, every satellite I had at my disposal, and I'd be taking sensor readings all over the place and see if there's a cavern underneath that floodplain. And if I had to, I would use a small range nuke and blow a hole through it so this water can drain out and into that chasm. Now, the DOE has used nukes under cities before here in the United States. Don't kid yourself. They did it under New Mexico, and they've done it under Nevada. And they did it because they wanted to get at the natural gas reserves that were underneath this huge granite rock. And so they used a nuke to break the rock and get at that energy. Energy. So, they have people that know how to handle that stuff and use it. And I'll tell you what, at this point, that's an option that is on the table, baby. I guarantee you it's on the table. And they better be hardcore considering it, because there's no way they're going to shore up those dams in time. Another thing that people aren't realizing with this snowpack is 500 times more water than it normally is. Okay, you got snow that comes down, okay, but they measure the amount of water that's actually trapped in the snow. And it's saturated with water. This is mega heavy snow. And when it starts melting, and it's as high as 40 and 50 feet high in areas up there in Montana. And the Rockies, they haven't even started melting yet. You've got just a domino of just scenarios here. And they're gonna have to divert the water somewhere. They're gonna run out of cities they can flood. They're gonna keep flooding out people and moving them out. But with these nuclear power plants, you have to look at the wind currents. And if you have any one of these power plants go, the wind current's going to take it right up the East Coast on the upper part, right up there towards Boston and New York and Canada. I would be screaming from the rooftop. I've been screaming from the rooftops for years, going through state after state after state, man, on this nuclear stuff, as well as the geo conditions of this climate, because I knew that the nuclear stuff caused it. I knew it. There's stuff in reports like crazy, but I could prove it with just elementary science. It was like the static discharge in the sky anomaly. Some guy goes, well, how can you prove that stuff? I go, God, man, come on. We're seeing them all over the place, but here's an easy thing you could do. Even a 6-year-old can do it. Take a couple rocks, put it in a vise, spin that handle in the dark until you get it to the point where the rocks crack, and have yourself a nice little camera to film it with a quick snap, and you will see the spark, the discharge off it. Okay. And when I saw a static discharge come off the rock up there in Sacramento this week,